Greetings, everyone. This is Aaron Thomas, J. Aaron Thomas. We're on chapter 17 of Mathew, the Exegesis, and I'm doing this every day. Sorry, yesterday I missed a day. From Passover and everything going on. Let's jump into it. Jesus and the disciples just got off the ship to Gennesaret. The Pharisees from Jerusalem were questioning him, and he was rebuking them with sound, amazing wisdom, telling them to wear the leaven of the Pharisees, deny yourself, take up your cross. Peter rebuked him after he had told them that he had to be crucified. And Jesus immediately said, "Get behind me, Satan, you're an offense to me." And you didn't do the will of God, but the things of men. You're not doing the will of God, but the things of men. Because he rebuked him of his own prophecy. So, he didn't understand. But, okay. As I said, I'm going to read a section and then go back to the top of that section and expound on it. And then we'll just go to the next section like that to break this down thoroughly. And after 6 days, Jesus takes Peter, James, and John, his brother, and brings them into a high mountain apart, and was transfigured before them. And his face did shine as the sun, and his raiment was white as the light. And behold, there appeared unto them Moses and Elias, talking with him. Then answered Peter, and said unto Jesus, Lord, it is good for us to be here. If thou wilt, let us make here 3 tabernacles, one for thee, one for Moses, and one for Elias. While he yet spake, behold, a bright cloud overshadowed them. And behold, a voice out of the cloud which said, This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased. Hear you him. And when his disciples heard it, they fell on their face and were sore afraid. And Jesus came and touched them, and said, Arise, and be not afraid. And when they had lifted up their eyes, they saw no man, save Jesus only. And as they came down from the mountain, Jesus charged them, saying, Tell the vision to no man, until the Son of Man be risen again from the dead. Okay, so after 6 days have passed, Jesus takes Peter, Caiaphas, he renamed, Simon Bar-Jonas, he renamed Peter, and James and John, called the sons of thunder, he renamed them as. James and John were brothers, and sons of thunder, remember, when God utters his voice, it sounds like thunder in the Bible. In Revelations, there's 7 thunders, but they're told to be sealed up. King David said, Your voice shakes the trees and breaks the rocks. When God spoke, in another place it says, he spoke, and some heard the voice and the words of God, and some only heard thunder. So, sons of the word of God, sons of thunder. Also, I've heard that they were sons who grew up in a very intense, hard environment, and were hardened men, like thunder. But I believe the first thing I told you. That the second one is just scholar theory. So the first one's my own discernment. So, but take what you will. So they went into the mountain, high up on the mountain, and Jesus transformed in front of them. His clothes were beaming white, his face shined. He looked like a divine being, not a human being anymore. Elijah and Moses appeared beside him, who were supposed to be dead. John the Baptist had already passed, okay? And he is the Elijah to come, as we're about to read. And Moses was beside him. So that kind of tells you a mystery, right? Are they sleeping in the dust, even though they're men? No, they're not. They were beside him, talking. Do all men? I don't know. And his disciples asked him, saying, Why then say the scribes that Elijah, must first come? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias, truly shall first come and restore all things. But I say unto you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done unto him whatsoever they listed. Likewise shall also the Son of Man suffer of them. Then the disciples understood that he spake to them of John the Baptist. And when they were come to the multitude, there came to him a certain man, kneeling down to him, and saying, Lord, have mercy on my son, for he is a lunatic, and sore vexed. For oft times he falls into the fire, and oft into the water. And I brought him to thy disciples, and they could not cure him. Then Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him hither to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and he departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And Jesus said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if ye have the faith as a grain of a mustard seed, ye shall say to this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind goeth not out, but by prayer and fasting. So, first, they were asking him, and Jesus told them, Tell the vision of him transforming unto no one until he's risen from the dead. Don't tell anyone this has happened. And then his disciples said, Why do the scribes, those who followed the prophets, wrote scriptures, that Elias must first come? Scribes were Bible scholars and studiers too. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Elias truly shall first come and restore all things, but I tell you that Elias is come already, and they knew him not, but have done to him whatever they have listed. So John the Baptist condemned King Herod, I think it was, for taking his brother's wife. So it's not lawful. They put him in jail. A dancer came before the king and danced, and the dancer's mother wanted, after the king granted her a wish, said, even up to half my kingdom, wanted his head on a platter, so they abused him and did horrible things to him. And he said, likewise, I shall be treated. So he's going to be brought into the hour of judgment, crucifixion, killed. And then this lunatic came before him. And his parent was like, my son is a lunatic. He throws himself in the fire. He's crazy. He's crazy. He tries to kill himself. He's wild. He's crazy. His disciples couldn't cast the demon out, couldn't heal him. And Jesus answered and said, O faithless and perverse generation, how long shall I be with you? How long shall I suffer you? Bring him here to me. And Jesus rebuked the devil, and it departed out of him. And the child was cured from that very hour. Then came the disciples to Jesus apart and said, Why could we not cast him out? And he said unto them, Because of your unbelief. For verily I say unto you, if you have faith as the grain of a mustard seed, you shall say unto this mountain, Remove hence to yonder place, and it shall remove, and nothing shall be impossible unto you. Howbeit this kind not go out, but by prayer and fasting. So they couldn't do it because of their unbelief. Their hearts were still hard. They believed. They might have seen miracles and halfway believed, but they were still struggling with doubts inside. Like, can this really even be real? Like, this is too much, like a dream or something. Can this be real? Maybe, or they were like, what is really going on here? Or inside themselves, they just weren't fully convinced yet, so they couldn't do it. But he said this type doesn't come out by prayer and fasting. So sometimes not just prayer alone, not just believing, having faith, but by fasting also. And while they abode in Galilee, Jesus said unto them, The Son of Man shall be betrayed into the hands of men, and they shall kill him. And the third day he shall be raised again. And they were exceeding sorry. And when they were come into Capernaum, they that received tribute money came to Peter and said, Does not your master pay tribute? He said, Yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What thinkst thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? Peter said unto him, Of strangers. Jesus said unto him, Then are the children free? Notwithstanding, lest we should go offend them, go thou to the sea, and cast a hook, and take up the fish that comes up. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money that takes, and give unto them for me and thee. So he prophesied and said, He shall be betrayed into the hands of men and killed. They came into Capernaum, and the tax collectors, those who received tribute money for Caesar, came to Peter and said, Does not your master pay tribute, Caesar? He said, Yes. And when he was come into the house, Jesus prevented him, saying, What thinkst thou, Simon? Of whom do the kings of the earth take custom or tribute? Of their own children or of strangers? They don't take it from their own children, but strangers out there in the kingdom. So he said, Are the children free then? And with that being said, he meant that's an evil thing. It's not right. But he said, Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, cast a line into the sea and bring a fish up. And when you open the fish's mouth, there'll be money in it. Give it to them. That's a miracle. The first fish you catch, you open its mouth and there's money in it for the tribute. It's amazing. But anyways, that's the exegesis of chapter 17, and we'll do 18 tomorrow. God bless you all. Faith is the opposite of fear. Fear is the opposite of faith.